Our case was McDonald versus Chicago, and before we got into our video, we wanted to give you some facts of the case. So, first of all, the legal dispute was basically whether or not the Second Amendment, which was the right to carry firearms, applied to both state and local governments, and the parties involved were Otis McDonald, Adam Orlov, Colleen Lawson, and David Lawson. And the Second Amendment and Illinois State Rifle Association had sponsored the lawsuit and advocated for Second Amendment rights. And so basically, a quick summary of the case is Otis McDonald, who was a resident of Chicago, wanted to keep a handgun at home for self-defense, but the city had a strict handgun ban. He sued the city, arguing that the Second Amendment, which protects the right to keep and bear arms, should apply to state and local governments, not just the federal government. And so the Supreme Court agreed with him, and in a 5-4 decision, the court ruled that the Second Amendment does apply to the states through the 14th Amendment's Due Process Clause. And this decision made it clear that local governments cannot ban handguns in a way that violates individuals' constitutional rights. And so basically, this just kind of goes over the legal issue, but it started when Chicago had a law that practically banned possession of guns, but Otis McDonald and other plaintiffs argued that this ban violated their rights. And the decision ruled that the Second Amendment applied to both state and local governments, not just the federal government. And this resulted in the Supreme Court ruling in favor of McDonald. And regarding the significance, this case helped to improve understanding of gun rights and regulations in America. Ruling fair of McDonald, the Second Amendment declares the right to bear arms is for the states and local levels to decide.
Although McDonald had good intentions backing up his case in court, the argument of whether or not it truly made a difference is very controversial. Gun violence statistics show on the left graph, titled Chicago Homicides, that after 2010, which was the year in which McDonald versus Chicago occurred, violence initially levels out until 2016, when there seems to be a massive incline. The same is shown on the graph to the right, showing gun violence within the U.S., initially dipping down for both suicides and homicides, but then it had a massive incline in later years. Because of this, there are many differing opinions on whether McDonald versus Chicago was necessary. For example, the public response of Edward McKelland, who is an opinion writer and author, says, "I'm relating this for the benefit of Second Amendment absolutists in places like Effingham and Sandoval, because I live in the real world of uncontrolled guns. They don't. These rural constitutional scholars believe in the principle that anyone should be allowed to own any gun without any restrictions. It's easy for them to say because they don't suffer the consequences of their fanatical ideology." Then there's J. Justin Wilson, part of the Institute for Justice, who says, "Today's ruling should be celebrated, not just by gun owners, but by everyone who cares about liberty and the unique role played by courts in protecting it under our system of government."
Nothing like being prepared. You never know when life's gonna pour at you.
Mac, what is that?
An umbrella, Mayor. It's raining.
Umbrellas are banned in Dryville. You know that.
Mayor, with all due respect, the weather's getting worse. I'm not trying to cause trouble. I just want to protect myself. The Constitution says I have the right to stay dry.
That might be true on a federal level, but this is Dryville. We make our own rules here. No umbrellas, period.
But Mayor, that rule might make it more dangerous for folks like me. I've lived through some bad storms. Why should I be soaked while people in their town stay dry?
Oh, what are you gonna do? March to the weather court?
Exactly.
Stop. What we're really talking about is McDonald versus Chicago. Mac believed the Second Amendment gave him the right to own a handgun to protect himself, even from the comfort of his home.
And I argued that local cities should get to decide their own rules, especially when it comes to safety. And I thought banning handguns within city limits would make us safer.
But the Supreme Court ruled in my favor. They said the Second Amendment doesn't just apply to the federal government. It applies to cities and states too. That's called incorporation.
I still don't like it, but hey, I lost fair and square. The Constitution wins.
Guess I'll stay dry after all.
But don't poke anyone's eye out with that thing.